Today's video, we're gonna talk about Google Ads demographic targeting and how to use it to make more money. These are principles that I've learned over the last 20 years of advertising on Google Ads that will help you make more money, understanding that you could decide to advertise to everybody or just people of certain gender demographics and income demographics to make more money with your ad account. In a lot of different niche markets, you're not gonna wanna advertise to just everybody. I promise you that, okay? More so on the income side, but definitely with the age side, and secondarily even with the gender side of things. I'm gonna tell you about the experiences I've had where we've made more money singling out certain demographics to target with our ads. And for that matter, all you gotta do is go to your audience menu in your ad account, and you can actually single out just a certain age or certain gender that you want to target, and that's it, as well as different income demographic targeting options there. You can target to people that are rich, poor, what have you, okay? So I will tell you from experience, there's a lot of campaigns also out there that if you do not understand demographics targeting, you're just never, ever, ever gonna make money. I promise you this. And I wanna say the different niches out there where you can't make money if you don't understand demographics targeting is a good 10-20% of the market. Beyond that, it's just different flavors of, how much are you gonna make based upon how much you know about demographics targeting. So I'm gonna go over all the details and things that I've learned over the last couple decades in reference to demographics targeting so you can understand how to do this for yourself. With that said, I've actually broken out different demographics targeting options in Google Ads here by demographic, age, gender, and income. They used to have parental status demographics targeting, but they don't do that anymore, unfortunately, so I've excluded that. However, also gonna talk about the other ways to target people on other levels other than just on the demographics level, which is a huge secret in order to get your ads to work when they wouldn't normally work otherwise. If you're advertising online, you got to understand how to find your audience. And if you've got customers already, you got to be able to understand the nuances there. What do they like? What do they not like? What do they do? What do they don't do? And narrowing down your ads enough to where you can get in front of an audience that's 1% or higher of buyers, because that's typically what it takes to make money given the cost of advertising online. Given that every time your ad's shown that's not in front of a buyer or someone who could buy is going to eat into your ROI. They call it pay-per-click advertising. Really, it's paper ad showing advertising. And so the only difference between profitability and non-profitability in your market is how far and how knowledgeable are you about narrowing down your targeting so you have very little, if none, waste in your advertising. That is, you're not paying to get in front of people who won't or can't buy. So with that said, I'm going to start with the age demographics and tell you what I know about this in particular. So with age demographics targeting, of course you can target anybody over 18 with your targeting. Now, there's technically also an unknown category of age, as there is with gender and income. That is and the reason for this is when you use Google, you do not need a Gmail account to use Google. So if you don't have a Gmail account or not signed into one, Google doesn't know your age or income or gender. So you're gonna show up as an unknown user. So you can decide to target known aged users and unknown aged users, or just one or the other. Generally speaking, there's not any situation where you just target unknown, but there's plenty of times where we target just known aged users because our market dictates it, if you will. For that matter, the general times where we don't just target everybody by age is the following. Generally speaking, it is often a good bet to get rid of the 18 to 24 and even 24 to 30 age demographics if your ROI is too low and selling something that's kind of like more expensive. So if you sell something that's at least several $100s or more, that's the time where I would get rid of those younger demographics because they don't have the purchasing power to buy it. Now, naturally, you could say if you sell used cars, you could sell to people that are 24 years old and be fine. But for most markets, this is not the way to go. And at the very least, what I would tell you is you don't have to shun them completely. What you do to make sure that you're always going to make money with ads is you go after the stuff that's most likely to convert first. And then you take your money there and you go a little bit broader, a little bit broader, a little bit broader, and then you see how far you can go with it versus what the average person does that doesn't make money with ads is they go super broad at first, their money's gone, it's gone, and they're just out of the game. And then they just walk away pissed at Google, okay? So you don't have to be that person. You could target just 30 to 65 plus, make your money there, then try the 24 to 30 at that time, see if you can get that to work, and then 18 to 24, given that you don't want to run out of money before you get to the next stage in what you're doing. So there's that. And then also, if you sell anything that's any kind of techie at all, you're selling software, you're selling an app, stuff like that, get rid of, generally speaking, 65 plus and even 55 to 64, because older demographics of people, at least today, I'm sure 10, 20 years from now it won't be the same as much. They have a hard time grasping it and buying into it. Not to say they're stupid, but as we get older, we get more resistant to learning new things, and people don't want to learn new technology. And when you ask them to do something, I don't care what the reward is, it just really stresses them out. So why target those people and just go after the younger crowd by itself? So if you sold like a business software, I wouldn't even go too young either, because it's a big purchase. Assuming it's an expensive software, I would go in the middle. I would go 30 to 55 in that particular case, taking in both of the concepts that I just went through, okay? Now, a couple other considerations here I want to go over. Number one, keep in mind that if you get rid of unknown, or I should say I have three different things I want to talk about here. Number one, if you go after unknown users, this is going to roughly be half of all the users you could target. So if you feel like you only want to target 30 plus aged users, you're only going to target half the people searching for your keywords. If you're running a search campaign or display campaign, same thing. Like let's say you want to target a certain website with a banner ad there, you're only going to target half the users then. So that's number one. Number two, a lot of people when they sign up for a Google account and it asks you your birthday, people are just going to quickly pick something. They're not going to put their actual birthday in there. I don't have the stats on exactly to what users do that versus answer honestly what their birthday actually is, so Google would have an accurate beat on the average age of their users. But I want to say at least 20% of people aren't putting their accurate birthday in there. So again, if you single out 30 plus users, that's all you want, you may only get 30% of the market. So you want to use this sparingly and potentially where you aren't able to make a profit after expenses any other way, if you will. Then the final thing I want to mention about age demographic targeting, which technically applies to these other two, they're linked together here, or also apply, is unknown aged users. Those users are, there's bot traffic in there, and you get a lot of that ultimately because Google doesn't know who the user is. The reason why, by the way, like Facebook ads work so well is because Facebook you have to sign in to use Facebook. Facebook knows you're a real user versus not. And of course you could sign up for an account and then have that account do your bot clicking or activity there after the fact, but it's not easy. And Facebook can track these individual user accounts using machine learning algorithms to find out which one looks like bots, which ones don't. And then when something looks like a bot, they can ask them to validate their ID using a driver's license, and they can weed out a lot of the click fraud that way. Well, when you're talking about non-signed in users, there's really not a real good way to get rid of all the fake users, if you will. So that's something else to consider when making decisions on how you should steer your ads in the future as well as it comes to age demographic targeting. Now, getting into gender demographic targeting here, some different things apply. And this is the least important of the three by far. That is, with gender targeting, if you are in selling gifts specifically or a niche where a lot of who buys or people are buying because it's a gift itself, it's great to break out your campaigns by age demographic. You have half the market who will see an ad, so males are going to see an ad that is more catered to them, and same thing with females. So if you sell engagement rings, if you will, you could put on your ad that says perfect engagement ring for her, versus if a female sees it, it could also say best, engagement rings on the market, you could optimize for each gender specifically, individually, if you will. Of which, by the way, if you think that you mainly only want to sell to people who, let's say we had a lady who sold a plus size women's clothing, and you may say in that situation, I don't want to sell to guys because they don't buy women's size plus size clothing. They don't wear them. The reality is a lot of guys are buying them for their wives, okay? So if you single out female by itself in terms of the gender targeting, you're missing out a big segment of the market. That said, you do a lot better if you had specific ad copy for the guys, saying this is the perfect gift, and for the females, it's just about, speak to the user about the quality of the item and so forth. So that's something that we learned about demographics targeting. I mean, naturally beyond that, by the way, we can extend what I just mentioned to other markets, such as if you are selling to females, they like to hear a story, and that's what gets them to move more than with what guys want to hear, which is the technicalities of things. How much power does it have? How much better is it over the competition? So if you sell, let's say carpet, maybe your ad for the guys itself talks about the warranty, spill resistant, stuff like that. And for the females, you say, this is the carpet of the celebrities that they use, and you drive them that way. So this could be applied to a lot of different markets. We don't use it all the time, but if you want more results, it's a very easy way to break out of the results that you're getting now by creating male versus female campaigns so you can have different ad copy for each. Given that it's also hard to do that at the same time because starting a new campaign, it's going to have no data to work from, and it's going to take a while to build that up to catch up to the results of the old campaign. But if you are looking long term, that can be a very easy way to break out of the current results that you're already getting with your ad account if you're plateaued with your results. The other thing is smart bidding will typically generally optimize this for you. So if you actually are separating these out because you think one's more profitable than the other or just not profitable enough, what I encourage you to do is just use smart bidding, use maximize conversions or maximize conversion value bidding strategy, and let the smart bidding algorithm identify to what level should the bid be for males versus females, because ultimately they're going to do that in real time and more than what you're going to be able to do on your own, because they're going to combine elements. They're going to say not just somebody searching for red shoes that are males versus females. Ultimately, we are going to identify, okay, if it's a male and they search for red shoes and they're 30 years old, the bid should be this because they convert at XYZ rate. Well, if they're 45 years old searching for red shoes and male, then our bid should be this. So the bidding ultimately is a lot more sophisticated when you use smart bidding, and it'll be at a level that a human can't do, which is why I just recommend smart bidding to actually optimize your campaigns versus using manual bidding and decide manually what your bid should be for male versus female. Smart bidding is going to beat the results with your manual bidding. I don't care how good of a manual bidder you are every time, and I don't say that lightly. And the last thing about that, gender-based demographics targeting is in relation to specifically, like I mentioned with the red shoe example there, as I just mentioned, that certain people that are males are going to be searching for male shoes. So if you sell male and female shoes, then you want to have separate ads and campaigns for the males versus the females, so that when they click on your ad, you can take them to just the male shoes on your site versus just the female shoes on your site. So that's another way that you can use demographics targeting specifically on the gender level to make more money from your ads. Okay? With that said, if you like the information that I'm presenting here, of course, I've got 20 years of experience running ads on Google as well as on the other online platforms to give you what I'm giving you here. And I spend 40 hours a week doing ad strategy at a firm to share what to get the information I'm sharing, and I share on the weekends what works and what doesn't work. It's the best information you're going to find on YouTube about how to make money with ads. If you like it, you should subscribe to this channel because I got tons more of it here, and you're going to be a multi-millionaire running ads for your business if you were actually learning and applying this knowledge to your business as well. I've got a great blog on my site as well at guaranteedppc.com/blog. The blog has step-by-step instructions on how to actually make money with strategies we're using at our firm for our clients to guarantee the results as well, with screenshots, with everything you need to use them. So if you like the channel, you should check that blog out as well. If you have any questions about anything I'm covering here, by the way, you can always leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time. So with that said, getting into now the income-based targeting within the demographics targeting inside your Google Ads account. So with income targeting, which is the one that I use the most often to make even more money, we are going to simply target the top 10 to 20% of income for luxury, when we sell luxury items or even high-end goods. Why? Because there's really, and because most of our clients are in the US, at least in the US, there's basically not even a middle class anymore in the US. There's rich and poor, sorry, that's just how it is. There's people who are paying, even the stats say this. 60% roughly of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't have money to buy shit. If you're gonna target the bottom 60%, you're targeting somebody who literally has no money to spend on whatever you're trying to sell and has to wait to get payday to get to where they might buy it, which maybe they've spent that money already on something else when they get the paycheck. Maybe you get your hands on that money. It's 10 times harder making money that way versus just targeting people that have a big fat bank account and all you need is just a slightly compelling reason to get them to buy, and they can buy at any time. That's where you want to be. If you're selling high-end or luxury at all, top 20% for sure, if not top 10%. Anymore, it's getting to the point where the income disparity is so great that it's just top 10%. The top 10% is where the real money is. This is six-figure business owners and people that have jobs, six-figure earners, and they're the ones with real money to spend on that $1,000 speaker or the $1,500 golf club or bag without having to make a second thought at it. Top 20%, yeah, they got money. They may not have $0 in their bank account, but they're still struggling, practically speaking. So I know this is a little bit touchy to talk about, but hey, ultimately, you can't get blood out of a stone, if you will. Just know that if you're not making the money that you want to be making or ROI out of your campaigns that you expect or need to make money, consider just going top 20 on anything, even where it's like mid quality or up. If you're selling on quality items, high-end items, luxury items. Anything with medical, if you're in a medical field, you're doing dermatology services, functional medicine services, anything like that. Get rid of the lower half of income demographic because all those people have Medicaid, and not to say that I don't think anybody should work with those people, but the reality is nobody wants to work with Medicaid because the government doesn't compensate you enough for what the work should be. So if you're normally charging $100 an hour, take Medicaid, they're gonna wanna compensate you for 70. Well, who the hell wants to work and take Medicaid when that's the case? So if you don't want Medicaid users, you gotta get rid of the bottom 50%, and for that matter, probably want to get rid of the bottom 70% if you want to really iron it 100% out at the end of the day. Why is that, by the way? That is because the income demographic targeting is not based upon user revealed data. So when you sign up for a Gmail account, you put in your birthday, whether you're male or female. The income demographic targeting data comes from your zip code. Google has, from looking at census data, the average income per zip code. And then so if you're in XYZ zip code, it just assumes you're at such and such income level. So this isn't actual income targeting. This is just approximated income targeting. So if you're in a zip code that's higher end, there's no reason why you can't be on Medicaid still. But if you're in a luxury, part of town or a high-end part of town, you probably aren't, on Medicaid, so to say. And the more fancy of the part of the town you live in, the less likely you are to have Medicaid. That's the reason why you can have it all the way up to the top 30% typically. The other thing with income targeting is it's non-essential things that you're selling. It's best to just get rid of the lower 50% of income demographic if your ROI is suffering and you're not getting the return you want. If you need to buy something, like if you need a car, you need, if you got a broken bone to get that fixed, you need to buy groceries. There's a lot of things we need to buy. We need car insurance because it's by law, you have to have it. In that case, you target everybody in terms of income because ultimately they have to buy it anyway. As soon as you get into stuff that they don't need to buy, the income demographic targeting is very important because the more money they have, the easier it is to get a sale. I mean, that's just the way that it is. So you're selling non-needed items. They're just discretionary items. Bottom 50% anymore, it's extremely hard to make money there. I will make an exception if we're talking about cheap items again. We're talking less than $300. You can still often make money, particularly on any kind of addictions, candy, cigarettes. Like if you were to sell cigarettes online, I know that's not a great example because you can't sell cigarettes through Google, but anything like that, people, they find money for it no matter what, okay? Liquor delivery services, that would be an exception. But if you're talking about a $500 coat, winter coat, you're trying to sell this, good luck trying to sell it and making money from the bottom 50%. It doesn't work, essentially. But if it is an item that you need, even though they don't have a lot of money, the reason why you go after them is because nobody else is going after the poor people, typically, because they think it's worthless. The traffic's cheaper, and because the click is cheaper, that compensates for the lower conversion rate you're going to get with the lower income demographic there. Got it? That's why you would still go after it. Unless it's a discretionary item, then in that case, you wouldn't go after it because ultimately, even though the traffic's cheap, it's still just not worth it. I mean, you're not going to get the traffic for a penny a click. I wish that's the way that it worked. Nowadays, it doesn't work that way anymore. You'll get the clicks for 20% of what it costs on the upper end in terms of income demographic, but that's still not cheap enough to make money. In terms of income demographic, that's the main thing that I wanted to communicate to you here. Ultimately, for that matter, the easiest thing to do though, if you're not sure about your situation, is to reach out to me and set up a coaching or consulting call, and I'll go through all this with you. If you reach out, I can also tell you what we can do setting up your ads on your behalf, and what kind of guaranteed results we can get for you as well. If you want to let us manage your campaigns, which is the best bet, because we're not going to take a management fee until we can get you a certain minimum lift in your profitability up front. If you're interested in a quote like that, reach out to me at guaranteedppc.com. I also have ad templates available to where if you are in a niche market that we've already been in before, you can actually buy the template that works for your market. Whether you're a dermatologist, whether you're a plumber, whether you're selling printer toner or whatever it is. And you just take the ads, landing pages that work for your market, you copy paste those into your ad account and get the same results we did in a different city or country that you're in, of which we can tell you the results you're going to get with up front from those. And then we've been in over 100 different niche markets, so the chances are high that we've got the results that you're looking for already and don't have to go through all the work that we did to find those results for yourself. For that matter, moving forward here, now the other bonus information I wanted to offer you here on today's video is in reference to other targeting other than basic demographics targeting, because when you target people typing in red shoes on Google, assuming we're talking about search campaigns here still, you could actually sub-segment the part of that traffic you want. You can do it on the age level, gender level, income level, but also on 5,000 plus or around there, different levels, audiences that you can import to your search campaign. And with manual bidding, you could say, hey, if this dude is liking fast food, we want to pay 100% more per click than somebody who doesn't like fast food when they're searching for red shoes. And so what we'll do, if we can't make money any other way, we'll import 5,000 different unique audiences into that search campaign. We'll have manual bidding, and we'll see and use those audiences as what Google calls as observance, and we'll just see where the data lies. Okay, what's the weird, trends in the data? Other people searching for red shoes, people that are liking fast food, they're 3 times as likely to convert into a sale. Okay, well, let's do a plus 300% bid adjustment there. And then just keep doing that and doing that and doing that, and then you eventually find what part of the market buys from you specifically that way. So that's another way to actually find your market, if you will, with the campaigns that you're running. You could do that with, display campaigns, YouTube campaigns, and so forth, technically. So there's that, if you will, search and display. Custom audiences now also will let you target infinitively, which I don't even know if that's an actual real world word in the dictionary, but infinitively, that if I want to target people who have recently searched for prom dress-up ideas and they're searching for red shoes, I can have my ad only show up for those people because effectively I'll bid less on the keyword red shoes, and through my audience that I have, my custom audience, my custom intent audience, I'm going to tell Google I want to bid at plus 900%. So effectively, unless they're searching for red shoes, I'm not going to have my ad show unless this person was searching for prom related stuff before, knowing that a person who is searching for shoes for prom, they're going to be spending more, and I'm going to have a big lifetime value from that customer over time because they're going to be buying shoes for the next 3 proms, what have you, just to give you a hypothetical example. So really, when it comes down to it, if you're not making money with your ads yet, it's really just a factor of how do you get the right data that tells you how to single out your ads enough to where the customers you're just paying to get in front of real customers. And part of that comes from uploading your customer list to Google Ads and seeing the affinity and in-market segments that Google has that match up with your customer list, so you know how to single your ads out, as well as reaching out to companies like Experian, Axiom, that you give them their customer list and they'll track tens of thousands of individual user data points to identify of the people that buy from you in the past, which of these traits match up with your customer list the most, so that you can single out your ads to just specifically what works the best. So if you can't make money any other way, that typically is the way to do it. / you can even upload email lists of people. We do this in the B2B space, even though this is technically grayer area. We're not supposed to do this, but you can upload an email list of people that are construction companies of over 1,000 employees. And then when somebody's looking for construction software, we can have, with a bid adjustment on that list, plus 900% bid adjustment, that our ad doesn't show up for construction software unless the person's on our list, which we know the people on our list are all people that are principals at construction companies with over 1,000 employees. Otherwise, we get mostly leads from companies that are too small, under 1,000 employees. That's another way to slice and dice, your campaigns to get to where the actual meat is. If you're not getting the type of leads that you want, the type of customers you want, and your ROI is not enough. When you're talking about search campaigns, you add audiences to the audience menu and you make your revisions there. On PMax, you add those things as signals, which on PMax, the most popular thing that we're doing now that makes the most money is making custom intent audiences with our competitor names. And we add those to our campaign, and then that makes the campaign better because Google will find out, okay, if the person searches for a competitor now or in the past, they're more likely to convert than somebody who hasn't done one of those things. So not to have our ad show up for those things. And so we use that to guide and single out parts of what we were getting before that are actually effective for us. Display, you can do audiences on the display menu, and you can do bid adjustments on the audience menu there. Then of course, when you're talking about demand gen campaigns and YouTube campaigns, you can actually create custom intent audiences there and target people just been to your competitor's website or what have you. And there's a lot of ways that you could sub-segment what you're doing and find the working audience that will actually work, because most people don't make money, for instance, with YouTube campaigns, but they don't just don't understand how to single out out of the 400 million people in the US to target the 1,000 buyers. And then of the 1,000 buyers, how do you actually say something that they'll give a damn about? Instead of just saying, we are a trade service company, and then just thinking that's somehow gonna work, like they're a genius. Instead of saying, we have a 2-for-1 tree removal deal this weekend, and getting people that way. So for that matter, I just wanted to add that information here. I know that's not in regards to demographics targeting specifically, but it's something else to consider because it ties in with what I'm talking about here. You do the demographics targeting and segmentation because there's people that you're targeting that aren't ever going to be profitable to you the way that you're at least doing it now, and you end up paying for waste indefinitely if you don't do something about it, and or you're not getting enough out of your market because you're not actually saying different things to different people, specifically on the gender level, which that could also apply to age level. You could say, hey, young buck, on one ad versus the ad that for the 65 plus guy, you could say, this technology is not too hard to learn. There's different things you could do, obviously, with the ability of targeting different demographics itself. For that matter, if you want somebody to come into and be an internal marketing department for you, but obviously don't have the money to do that, we're looking to invest in companies and do ultimately just that. We have invested in several companies in the last few years where we come in and we give those companies ad spend to run ads on Google or different platforms, all our expertise to run their ads. And then what we do is we make an arrangement with them that we say, okay, you're doing $1 million a year in sales now. We'll take you to 10 million. We want 4% of the growth. We'll pay for the ad spend up front to get the ads going and get everything profitable. And that's our cut. And then ultimately we partner with the company as equity partners, and that's our arrangement. And the companies we invested in so far, every single one of them are doing multi-millions more in sales a year as thanks to our program, our partner program. We're looking for companies to invest in addition to that at this time. If you are looking for a company to partner with like that, specifically our firm, reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com and we'll interview you and see if we can make things work. I also have a brand new group that I started on Discord for channel members and people that want to talk about advanced PPC strategies. You can find the link in the video description to my new Discord group, which there's a brand new free PPC course in there as well that I go through from start to finish, how to actually start a PPC campaign up from scratch that'll make money every time. So if you want to see that, you should join the group and check that course out. With that said, I'm going to wrap everything up with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. If you want to see another video, click here. It is one of my best ones.